say that when we do it.
Okay.
MontrealComedy.com is here with Tony V. A special find. I ran into you yesterday.
Last night, right?
Last night, yeah.
At the Green Room.
The Green Room with Paul Provenza.
Which was one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Yeah, we just spoke about the feeling of it. The spiritual kind of feeling.
Yeah, it was funny and poignant and paid tribute all at the same time. And I thought it was just very well done. And a lot of those guys, I've worked with and we're friends with. So it's good to see them, at least being remembered. That's your legacy being remembered in a fond light. That's pretty good.
That's
too
right.
soon though.
Yeah, too soon with especially Richard Jenny, Patrice O'Neill.
Mitch Hedberg,
Greg Giraldo,
who was so underrated and was just coming into his own. I think.
Right, he hadn't popped.
He hadn't popped. No,
right.
But a brilliant writer and a great performer. He really loved the art of stand-up, and that's that goes a long way with me.
That's it. Patrice was about to really blow up. He had done the roast. He had done Elephant in the Room.
Yeah.
And Richard.
No, he was on the verge for about 5 years. You know what I mean? Which I think that's about that bubble if it's going to happen for you. And it was just starting to get there, and he was very true to himself, which is a great thing.
And now you're a working Boston comic.
Yes.
You started in '82.
I started in '82 back in Boston when there was almost no scene.
Right.
It was fresh. If you wanted to see stand up before then, you'd have to go to New York. And the scene sort of got started in '79, took off in like '81 or so, and then I started doing open mics later in life for most comics in '82.
How old were you when you started?
I think I was 27.
You were 27.
Yeah, 26 at 27. Before I'd ever stepped on stage, I was a social worker. I was, working for the state of Massachusetts, and I just always loved stand-up. And then when it, these clubs started opening up, I would go and sit, and I was always amazed by that art form. I mean, to this day, I love it.
Who were your contemporaries in that regard?
Well, the guys that started the scene really were a fellow by the name of Lenny Clark. Who's had tremendous success. Barry Crimmins was another guy. Don Gavin, Steve Sweeney.
Lenny Clark I've heard of, obviously. Yeah. Don Gavin, Steve Sweeney, guys that Joe Rogan mentions a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you see, in a lot of these guys that have come after us, you see the arc, the lineage of where it came from. There's a very specific Boston kind of comedy, and I break that mold a little bit. I'm not as aggressive as some of my friends and contemporary, but it's a very rapid fire, hard-paced, working class
comedy.
And it all started because there was nothing there, and we were the guys who started.
Right.
You know what I mean? We didn't, know from writing jokes. We just wanted to make people laugh.
So you guys kind of set the ground for the Billy Burrs and the
Patrice O'Neills
and the Bobby Kelly,
Robert Kelly, Joe Rogan. Who when he was in Boston struggled a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To find his place, and then he just went on to do amazing stuff. I mean, it's remarkable what he's accomplished. He's and did it on his own terms. That's the other thing I think you find in Boston. Stephen Wright, same way.
Wright.
Dennis Leary.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All Emerson guys. Dan Cook. You see that
churning it out.
That churn just boom because what happens is
they boo you off the stage.
Oh
right?
yeah. They were. Colin Quinn tells the story about
Colin Quinn and the redheaded, the biggest Louis C.K.
Oh, Louis C.K. Yeah.
He says that basically it was like na 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 na, and
then off the stage.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was brutal.
Oh, it was awful.
So you had to have your chops together. So if you could do Boston, you could do pretty much the rest of the country.
The country, yeah. People would come in, and it would be awful for them. Like we'd have people like Richard Lewis would come in,
right?
And
with his like quirky,
and they would hire these guys as the headliners, and then they would put Steve Sweeney, Lenny Clark, me, another fellow, Kenny Rogers, and one of the funniest humans on the planet.
Right.
And they would purposely.
It was done on purpose.
On purpose.
And it was done for you guys to have a laugh.
Yes.
And
and
you guys would steam them up to the point where they'd pop like kernels.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the headliner would get on and didn't want nothing to do with them. And by the second show, the guy would be going, I think I'll host the show and bring you guys up, which is exactly what we wanted.
What's one of the more brutal beatings you saw?
Colin Quinn tells the story
of him getting
because
he's a New York tough guy.
Oh yeah.
But listen, you wouldn't think that he'd get a beating.
This place, Nick's Comedy Shop, was notorious for just chewing up people and spitting them out. And it got to the point, and Colin tells this story, I think, on several platforms.
Yeah, Opie and Anthony.
Yeah. But we actually, had to surround him to get him out of the club.
Okay.
Because if you come into a Boston club back in the day, it's changed a lot, of course.
Right.
But if you came into a Boston club and said you were from New York, it was
okay.
You might as well be waving a Yankee shirt at somebody.
Yes, it has to do with baseball in the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
It all comes down to that.
And you remember helping him out of the club?
Oh yeah, a good friend of ours, Joe Yannetti, spearheaded it, but then we all had to make a corridor for him to get. They were gonna, it was the near riot.
Oh my! I thought this was just like the comedians having fun with him. It was.
Oh no, the audience.
The audience would just break him.
And the reason that for the most part, we pound like that was because we had to. Silence was deadly. Right. If you gave the audience a second to breathe.
And his mumbling. Mumbling. Very smart comedy.
Right. Very pithy. Very well thought out. Very thought provoking. It's just like, hey, how come he's not talking about beer?
And oh my God.
Yeah. So numerous occasions. I remember one time going on after Howie Mandel, and Howie and I, whenever we see each other, which is not often, but he'll remember this story very well. They brought Howie Mandel in, and I was on the show.
Did he have his glove at the time?
No. I think it was. I think he was leading up to that. I think
to that white glove he used to have.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But he went on, and people were happy he was in town. He was doing the thing, and then they brought me on afterwards. And my opening line was, I don't give a fuck who he is. I'm on now, so shut the fuck up and listen to me. And he was in the back howling. He goes, he goes, no one's ever done that. I go, it's the only way to do it, man. I'm a fan too, but I'm not going to eat it just because you were here.
You just ate it.
Right.
And so you're a working comic. There's a lot of working comics that they reach a certain. Not everybody gets to be the Louis C.K.
Right. Right.
But one thing I like to tell guys that haven't reached the Louis C.K. but that are comics is, at one point you got to be happy that you get paid and you get to do this craft to a certain degree.
I've been doing this for 32 years.
Right. Okay.
Can't see it stopping now.
Right.
You know what I mean? No matter what the carrot is. I have a nice life in Boston. I have a family. I decided to get off the merry-go-round and not be a road guy and be on the road, 46 weeks out of the year and blah, blah, blah. Everybody's different. If you want to chase that dream, I think it's great. And I had my day,
Right. You had your time?
I've had my time.
How many years did you do on the road?
I probably did a good 12 or 15, I would
12
think.
12 or 15 years?
Easily. And, and then quickly found out that it was not for me. Like, I stayed out of the South and the middle of the country.
Right.
Because they wanted nothing to do with it.
Nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
How was LA? Did you go?
I did some time in LA. I worked. I have a string of guest starring roles like in the 90s. That I did. A couple pilots. I worked on an FX show called with Bobcat Goldthwait. Called Bobcat's Big Ass Show.
Right. And this is after The Voice.
This is around the transition.
Police Academy. A little bit
after Police Academy.
Okay.
He hosted a show called. It was a game show But it was like FX's first produced show on their own.
Okay.
And we did quite well. We did 3 seasons of that, and I was a writer, producer, performer on that. I did a series on Showtime called Brotherhood for 3 seasons. So I had bit parts in movies still. I did a couple episodes of Louis' show this past season.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you. You mentioned that you have a Rodney Danger. Do you have more than one, or do you have a favorite Rodney Dangerfield?
My favorite
of all time, yeah. Rodney Dangerfield of all time.
And I'll speak right into your toupee hair. I don't know why we're doing that, but
I personally, I like the toupee.
It's nice.
It's Mark Maron. You heard Mark Maron making fun of it?
I did.
And then you're like, oh, that was a good bit. But then
he would come in all the time, and when Rodney came in, it was, it would be like any dignitary. They'd go, Rodney's in the audience.
Put him on first. Put him on right away, whatever you do.
As soon as he walks in, someone's on stage, you cut him off. If you're on stage, you stop in the middle of a bit. It's Rodney. He comes in. So one night he comes in, and he's in the robe. He's got a takeout carton of Chinese food. He carries it up on stage with him. He doesn't even put it down.
Right.
He's got a car waiting out front. He's going to come in and do a few minutes. He walks up. I give him a huge intro. Can't believe our luck. You're here on a special night. Comedy royalty. Rodney Dangerfield. Huge round of applause. He gets up on stage, and his opening line is, "Are there any questions?" And the woman goes, "Well, there'll be a Caddyshack too." And he goes, "What kind of question is that, you stupid cunt?" And he walked off the stage. So I gotta go on after him going, all right. Rodney Dangerfield, ladies and gentlemen.
Tony V, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you.
And I'm going to check out your comedies.
Please do.
I will.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was fun.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you.